Hey everyone, I am Gary of the Elysiums. Welcome to a video about my Slayer collection. This video has been asked for in a comment, so I decided I'd finally do it. But before we get in this video, today is a sad day. We have lost Thomas Lindberg, former vocalist of At the Gates, at the age of 52 due to cancer. He had a rare, some type of, I don't know if it was rare, but a type of mouth cancer, and he actually got the part of his top of the roof of his mouth removed, and unfortunately it didn't help, and he passed away today. So some sad news there. uh great death metal vocalist. He's got that melodic death metal vocals perfected out of Sweden with At the Gates. So rest in peace, Thomas, and obviously you'll live on through the wonderful music that you made. All right, with that being said, it's kind of hard to follow that up with me promoting myself, but regardless of Thomas's death, if you haven't hit that subscribe button, please hit that subscribe button now. Like this video, you can even share this video, all that stuff. Help support my channel, and hey, with this video, you can help introduce Slayer to a whole new audience, which is, hopefully something I would do, and, and some people that aren't that familiar with Slayer, maybe I can show them some more. So obviously Slayer, one of the big four of thrash. Their debut album came out in December of 1983. They released their last album, Repentless. I want to say that was like 2015. Did a world tour. They retired, did a farewell tour, and they are currently back at it again. Not with the original members. There's only two original members in the band. Two other guys, which are Paul Bostaff on drums, who filled in after Dave Lombardo's departure. Dave Lombardo was the original drummer. And also Gary Holt, the lead guitarist with Exodus, also plays with Slayer, filling in for the late Jeff Hanneman, who passed away due to a spider bite, of all things. But Kerry King still remains on guitar, along with Tom Araya on bass and vocals. Jeff Hanneman was just an amazing guitarist and an awesome songwriter. The majority of Slayer's early stuff, and mostly everything with Jeff, was written by Jeff. So just a great artist he was. Fantastic artist, honestly. So with that being said, I'm going to get into this video, and real quick, I just remembered something that I did not pull out for this video. So we're going to get right into it with the debut album, which I mentioned. This is Show No Mercy, 1983, from Slayer, released on Metal Blade Records. This is a 2004 remaster. So I actually did, back in the day, have the original pressings, the original CD pressings, but these remasters just looked a lot nicer, sounded better. I know they're not worth as much as the original pressings, but, I don't collect to resell or, say, hey, look how expensive my collection is. I collect to listen, and that's basically what I do. So yeah, amazing debut album from Slayer. This was different for the time, because this came out the same year as like Metallica's Kill 'Em All, but Slayer was darker. They were a little more evil. They were, obviously, as you can see from the cover there, and if you know Slayer, a little more satanic in their imagery. Funny thing is, if you look inside at the pictures of the guys, they're actually wearing makeup. They have this dark eye makeup on. Kerry King at the top there with a full head of hair. Jeff Hanneman, his hair is short there in that picture. Awesome album from Slayer. And they followed that up with, in what I call, the greatest EP of all time. I don't think there's another EP better, in my opinion. Haunting the Chapel. Again, that iconic artwork, excuse me. This is another 2004 remaster from 1984. Just a 4-song EP. And, man, these 4 songs just breeze right through and just blow your hair off. Great songs. Chemical Warfare, Captor Sin, the title track, and Aggressive Perfector. Such great songs. Something, I think that's all it is. I feel like the original vinyl pressings, correct me if I'm wrong, did include Aggressive Perfector. That's why the CD versions do say that. Could be wrong. Maybe it was a 7-inch, something like that along those lines. But I feel like something like that happened. All right, so up next is the next release through Slayer is Live Undead. So yeah, that is a live album. Again, released in 1984. So Slayer honestly had a studio album, a EP, and they followed up with a live album. So kind of odd for a band to do that. But this is a great album. Captures Slayer perfectly. Excuse me. In their early days, you know, the artwork's just absolutely amazing. Only 7 tracks on here. But it is a full, you know, LP. It's not regarded as an EP. All right, the follow-up, the sophomore album, sophomore studio album. One of the greatest metal albums of all time. One of the greatest thrash metal albums of all time. Hell Awaits. As you can see, the artwork there again, very satanic. You know, and Slayer uses the symmetry as part of the entertainment. I know Tom Araya is a Catholic himself. You know, so they just... It's kind of like a horror movie director using, you know, the evil and demonic scenes in movies just for entertainment. Not saying these guys, you know, all of the members fully believe in Satan and don't believe in God. I think Kerry King is atheist. Jeff Hanneman may have been. I'm not really sure if Dave Lombardo and you know, Paul Bostaff and Gary Holt, which filled in. Yeah, I mean, again, 7 tracks on here, just like the Live Undead album, but 7 tracks that some of them are a little longer. I mean, the opening track, Hell Awaits, just that riff that opens is absolutely amazing. Kill Again, At Dawn They Sleep, Praise of Death, Necrophiliac, Crypts of Eternity, and Hardening of the Arteries. So these 4 were the first albums released by Slayer, all released on Metal Blade Records. After that, they were signed by Rick Rubin to his American Records. And that's where it was really kicked off. In my opinion, I think I probably did rank this at number 1 in my thrash metal albums. The greatest thrash metal album of all time, Rain in Blood. Again, the iconic artwork. You got the guys back there looking really aggressive with their Stella Artois. I always thought that was a interesting choice. Like, these guys are trying to look hard and evil, but they have the, you know, the nice, gentle Stella Artois beer. Would have been funny if they used something else like Old English or even a Budweiser. Come on, guys. But yeah, standard American remastered CD cover there. This is the remastered expanded edition from the American Records. I think this is a 1994 remaster, I want to say. Maybe a 96. Anyway, so it does have the original 10 tracks, the perfect 10 tracks, and then it includes Aggressive Perfector and a remix of Criminally Insane. So these are the 10 songs that make up the greatest thrash album, in my opinion. Angel of Death, Piece by Piece, Necrophobic, Altar of Sacrifice, Jesus Saves, Criminally Insane, Reborn, Epidemic, Postmortem, and Raining Blood. Raining Blood, I mean, when that opens up with that guitar intro, it's just absolutely incredible. The breakdowns, all that. How do you follow up the greatest thrash album in the world? You follow up with another one of the greatest thrash albums. This is South of Heaven. We all can kind of get what that means. Not as fast as Rain and Blood, but still a perfect masterpiece and a perfect follow-up. You know, guys are from California, so you see Jeff there wearing a Raiders shirt. Kerry King still has his hair. Great album. 10 tracks. Absolutely amazing. Second album to be produced by Rick Rubin and released on the American label. Again, great album. This one's probably the slower of the 3, but there is some really thrashy songs in here. There's still a thrash metal band. When Slayer slows down, it's more of a evil, kind of demonic riff they use. Seasons in the Abyss. So this would be the last studio album recorded with Dave Lombardo for quite some time. And, you know, if you open it up, you got this little kind of poster there. The artwork on the crucifixes, and then you got the band members. The cool pictures, lyrics. Yeah, and all these CDs actually do have the lyrics inside the booklets, which is pretty cool. All right, so they followed that up with a double live album, Decade of Aggression Live. You see there, it's still in that fat box. The reason on it really, sometimes when I have a fat box, I put it in a single CD flipper that holds 2 CDs. The reason for this is there's 2 different covers. That is the booklet inside. And, you know, the booklet, these things were really, like, when they came out, I know they're still being used sometimes today, but, like, it's really like a waste. It really consumes a lot of space. But yeah, I'll just show the back cover real quick. Setting up for the show. Really cool picture there, especially if you ever played in a band or, you know, you've been behind the scenes working with a band. So yeah, it basically features everything from their Metal Blade years, their American years up until this point. Booklet is just pictures of the band from different, you know, from different shows, stage sets. See Kerry King there with the Raiders shirt on, and just ends with a current picture of the band. So after this, Dave Lombardo would lead the band. It's a little unsure. Some Daves will say he quit. Sometimes he says he was fired. Tom and the boys will say he quit. Sometimes they said he was fired, so we don't know what happened. So yeah, 4 years later, it's 4 years between albums. Slayer releases Divine Intervention. They get Paul Bostaff on the drums to replace Dave Lombardo. The other 3 guys are still there. Not as strong as an album as the other albums that came before this, but still a really, really good album. You know, in the 90s, metal was kind of, unfortunately, dying a little bit. You know, except for, like, you know, Metallica and Pantera. Metal wasn't as big as it was in the 80s. But with this album, it was kind of the, they kind of mocked the Satanic Panic and all the parents. Yeah, I can't show some of this because there's, like, dead bodies and stuff inside the artwork. But yeah, this whole inside is just kind of mocking the Satanic Panic and the parents saying they listen to satanic music. But really strong album from Slayer. I like it a lot. It's just that it's not as great as everything that came before it. And it's almost impossible to be as great as an album before it. But really cool artwork there. You have a... you have that pentagram with a, you know, skeleton into a skull type of thing with the fangs. Cool stuff. And then they followed that up with a, not a studio album, but this is Undisputed Attitude. This is a covers album. There's only 1 original song on here, Gemini. The rest is 13 tracks of, like, hardcore and punk songs that they really wanted to cover. There's some stuff from Minor Threat. And, you know, like I said, Gemini is the original track on there. And they have this Gemini on the CD there, which I always thought was cool. I am a Gemini myself, so I always, like, thought about maybe getting that version tattooed somewhere. But, yeah, there's covers from Minor Threat on here. What else is on here? I'm trying to look at the songs and remember. Now I Want to Be Your Dog from the Stooges, but they change it to I'm Gonna Be Your God. I can't remember the other bands on here that they covered. Oh, I'm sorry. No. There is, so Jeff Hanneman also wrote Damn and Can't Stand You. So Damn and Can't Stand You are Jeff Hanneman originals, along with Gemini, which was written by Tom Beret and Kerry King. Richard hung himself. I have the original version in my head. I cannot remember who the original artist was. So drop in the comments if you know. Anyway, this is a recent remaster, actually, from Sony Music. Canadian remaster. The original one that came out had a red, you know, inner cover here, inner, you know, that held the CD. The inner part was red, which was kind of cool. All right, so getting back to it, in 1998 is another studio album from Slayer. This one is, a lot of people say it's their new metal album. They were trying to get closer to the new metal sound. I don't know. I don't really hear it in here. This kind of gets, bashed by fans, and it's not really known as one of their greatest albums. I do still really like it. This is only the third album the band would release in the 90s. Last album they would release in the 90s. On the tour for this, they actually took System of a Down out, an unknown System of a Down, which is super cool. As you can see there, I guess that's kind of like a dark priest on the artwork. Diabolus in Musica, which is, I think it's either Latin or Spanish for devil in music. But yeah, Bitter Peace, Death's Hand, Stain of Mind, Desire, In the Name of God, Scream from the Sky, Point. Still some great tracks on here. I don't understand why this gets bashed so much, but it is still a strong album, in my opinion. I don't really see it. I wouldn't put this in the new metal category. I guess because there isn't as many like solos on it. Like, it's not as thrashy, but I don't know. For me, if I were to pick a new metal album from Slayer, I'd probably go with this one. God Hates Us All. So yeah, weird thing about this, with the name of this album, was actually released on September 11th, 2001, which was obviously a horrible day. But, we got a new Slayer album out of it, I should say. But it's kind of eerie with the name of this album and the day it was released. So this, again, features, just like the Decade of Aggression, two different album covers. This is the original album cover. It's just the Bible with some nails in it, Slayer carved in it, some blood on it. And this was the more famous cover that, I guess, I covered this up. I guess this was a little controversial. I don't know. But yeah, anyway, strong album from Slayer. A lot of these songs they still play on stage. They still play live. Darkness of Christ is kind of the instrumental that they'll play when the band comes out, and they'll open with Disciple, the first two tracks off of this. God Send Death, Cast Down, Bloodline, which is a huge song. Bloodline was featured on the Dracula 2000 soundtrack, which came out in the year 2000. So I heard that song before I heard the album, and it's more of a slowed down, like, kind of a sludgy, groovy, riffy song. Not really thrash, but still a good song. Warzone, Here Comes the Pain, and Payback. Good album. All right, so 5 years would go by. Dave Lombardo would rejoin the band, and the band would release Christ's Illusion in 2006. Again, controversial artwork is like only Slayer can do. There's the CD, the inner and the back cover. Good album. Not one I go for that often. Fleshstorm, Catalyst, Skeleton Christ, Eyes of the Insane. Eyes of the Insane, I feel like that is one song that I've seen them play on tour a lot after this album came out. Jihad, Conspiracy, Catatonic, Black Serenade, Cult, and Supremacist. And then 3 years later would come World Painted Blood. Features that amazing opening title track. I don't know if we're... Yeah, so what's funny is these two albums feature Dave Lombardo back, and Dave Lombardo is one of my favorite drummers of all time. He's one of the greatest thrash drummers, but these two albums didn't quite hit, much like the the first 3, 4, 5 albums did that he was featured on. I don't even think it hit as much as Live on Dead or Haunting the Chapel, the EP. Great albums, don't get me wrong, but not the strongest stuff Slayer would release. World Painted Blood would, again be, for the second time, the last album to feature Dave Lombardo to date. I don't know if he's ever going to get back with the band. I don't know what he's doing right now. I know he's playing with Suicidal Tendencies. I don't know if that's what he's still doing or what. But kind of cool how they did the blood stain on the CD there. That again, the American recordings. This has not really 2 sleeves, but kind of a red translucent kind of plastic cover there, along with the booklet. Like I said, for me, The title track is probably my favorite song off of this. Snuff is decent. Beauty Through Order, Public Display, Dismemberment, Psychopathy Red, Playing with Dolls. I feel like for me, these two albums I haven't listened to as much as I listened to the rest of them. Because when I want to listen to Slayer, I don't really pull these two out. I'm pulling the rest of the stuff out. Especially, you know, everything from the first 5 albums. And then finally, we have the last studio album by Slayer to date. This is Repentless. So, unfortunately, Jeff Hanneman has already passed away. Gary Holt is on this album, and the tours that follow. There are a few songs with Jeff Hanneman, written by Jeff Hanneman on here. I know Piano Wire was one of them that Slayer had to finish. And this is the deluxe edition of the CD. This features a second disc, Live at Wacken from 2014. I'm sorry, it's a DVD. And the making of Repentless. So you actually get a full 1 hour and 8-minute show, Live at Wacken, a full set. And then you get a 45-minute documentary making of it, which is super cool. Because you get to hear the story of, you know, kind of what happened to Jeff. And as they're going into this album. And, you know, Jeff was sick. And Gary Holt started filling in for him. So yeah, this opens up to an inverted crucifix. Yeah, so like I said, kind of a cool story about the making of this album. I like this album a lot. Some people say it sucks. I don't know. Repentless, the title track, is another song that they play live a lot. I do remember that video being out, and that was kind of like a tiny hit for Slayer. They don't really play Slayer on the radio. But for me, I listen to this more than I listen to, you know, these two. I liked this album a lot when it came out, and, you know, I still grab it. And then from that tour, they released this, the Repentless Killology, and this is actually the last official Slayer release. This is This was released in 2019. I don't know if this coincided with their, you know, retirement tour or whatever, their very last tour. But it's a really cool live set. First live CD we would get in, you know, 29 years. What I like about this is it's a perfect mixture of everything throughout their entire career, going all the way back to Show No Mercy up to Repentless. So super cool there. 2-disc set, all live. And then we also have a couple bootleg live recordings. This is Slayer at the Big 4 Festival. Recorded July 3rd, 2011 in Gothenburg, Sweden. 11 tracks on here. The only problem with this is it's kind of a... I thought it was going to be a soundboard recording. It says it is, but it sounds absolutely horrendous. The recording of this album is just... It's so bad that I can't even really listen to it. But it's Slayer, and I'm a huge Slayer fan, and I got to keep it for the collection, right? And then we have this one, The Hellish Years. This is a radio broadcast recording. Not much is known about this. Like, I don't know when it was recorded, where it was recorded, anything like that. But it's kind of odd. As you can see inside, we have the band with Paul Bostaph, and on the back, we have a younger version of the band with Dave Lombardo. This is a recording with Paul Bostaph, which I could tell the difference between him and Lombardo's drums. And there is a chance this could have been released in like the recorded around like 94, 95 on the Divine Intervention tour, because they do play a lot of songs from that, and they don't play anything else past that album. So I'm thinking it could be probably recorded around there. And then last but not least, we have Raining Blood in Las Vegas. This is a broadcast recording from 99. So this was recorded on the why am I drawing a blank right now? Diabolist Musical Tour. I know they did some Ozfest shows. So I'm not sure if this is from an Ozfest or this is just a standalone Slayer live CD. So that is all like the standalone CDs from Slayer, but we do have the box set Soundtrack to the Apocalypse to show off. This is the deluxe version. Really, really nice box set. Kind of looks like a like an ammo container, but it's made out of cardboard. A lot in here. So, comes with the book here. The book just basically like a little, you know, you get a little, get some essays in there, some photos, some old, you know, tickets, the guys in the band. And then we get this flag. Soundtrack to the Apocalypse. It's really cool to have, but like I'm not going to hang it up because it kind of defeats the purpose of my box set. And then we have a backstage pass. This is super cool. Just says Soundtrack to the Apocalypse on the lanyard here. And it's a 4 CD set. Here's the, this is the back that was, it wasn't like glued on or anything. It was just kind of put on there with the shrink wrap. Excuse me. So most of the stuff is previously released. This is disc 1, features stuff from Rain and Blood, South of Heaven, Seasons in the Abyss, and Decade of Aggression. Disc 2 features stuff from Divine Intervention, Undisputed Attitude, Diabolus and Musica, and God Hates Us All. But then there are 8 bonus tracks which were mostly never released in the US. And there's a cover of Iron Butterfly's Inagata Davida and Disorder, which was Slayer and Ice-T. Then we get to disc 3, which is called Shit You've Never Heard. 17 live tracks, which were never released until this box set here. So it names the years. You get everything from 1983 all the way up till 2002, right before this box set was released, it was released in 2003. And then we have a DVD. So we have 3 CDs and a DVD. This is Shit You've Never Seen. So obviously it's going to be all live stuff, live videos of the band going from 83 to 2003. No music videos, but there, besides the concert videos, there is a them receiving an award in 1996 at the Kerrang! Magazine Awards for Heaviest Band Award. And then there's an EPK for Diabolus and Musica, so that was cool too. And since this is the deluxe edition, we get this super cool bonus 5th CD in this blood gel pack case. This is the 5th disc, live at the Grove in Anaheim, California, from May 2nd, 2002. So yeah, this box set is just super cool. One of my favorite box sets I own. It is pretty expensive right now if you're trying to find it. Goes for like over $100 used, obviously, because it's going to be tough to get new. If you get it new, you're probably going to pay up to upwards of like $300. And before we end this video, I do have 2 DVDs from Slayer. This is War at the Warfield. This was released in 2003. There's a set list there if you want to pause and zoom in. And then we have Still Raining. This is released in 2004, a year later. What's cool about this is they do the entire Raining Blood album live, followed up with 6 tracks after that. And then there's a small documentary on here called Slayer in Their Own Words. And then that's basically everything I have from Slayer. However, I do have the solo release from Kerry King. This is a 2024 release, From Hell I Rise. Not a bad album. It sounds like a band trying to be Slayer, if that makes sense. But Paul Bostaff is on here playing drums. Phil Demmel's also on here playing guitar. And Mark Osqueda is on vocals from here. I forget what band Mark's from. I know I sound like an idiot. And of course, Kyle Sanders on bass. When I first saw this, I thought it was Carl Sanders from Nile on bass, and I was like, oh shit, but oh no, that's Kyle Sanders. But yeah, this was the last thing I had to hear to show in this video. Kerry King, From Hell I Rise. That is his solo album, the only one he has released to date. All right, everyone, so that is my Slayer collection. So everyone in the comments asking to see my Slayer collection. Hope this satisfied you. You know, there's much more stuff out there from Slayer. They got t-shirts, they got, you know, I'm sure there's tour programs, there's more bootleg stuff out there. I believe there's more DVDs, but this is what I have for now. So altogether, I actually have like 4 concerts from Slayer on DVD. I had the bonus one from Repentless, and I have the soundtrack to the Apocalypse, along with these 2. And I also have the Big 4 Blu-ray, but that's not a full Slayer set list, I don't believe, on there. It's cut a little short. But yeah, anyone, that is it. I want to appreciate everyone for watching, and again, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Take care.